Alright, everyone. So it is New Year's Eve. I'm just going to be hanging out here. So I thought I'd spend the day with you folks. Don't think there's anyone on Discord who want to hang out too. Jacob and Yoshi are in... Jacob's date mate CJ are on Discord. If Stranded Deep also crashed my computer, I mean, it managed not to this time. I think it was a power thing. But Stranded Deep doesn't seem to be a very intensive game. Fallout 4 is. It would definitely crash it. My opinion on Stardew Valley, I liked it a lot, but unlike pretty much every other Harvest Moon I played except for maybe Island of Happiness, I got bored with it very quickly. I don't know why, but it seemed more than any other, it got so boring and stagnant so quickly. Yeah, I am planning to get a bigger power supply for my computer. I love getting fan art for anything from anyone. So please do, I welcome it. Yeah, that would have been a nice touch. I never did finish the community center. I think I was close. Let me fix something up here. Specifically my list of favorite albums for this year, so I can more easily run through it. I really want to see Vice riding a Moonstone cannon raft. Okay, so... anyone mind if I give my list of my favorite albums for the year? Honestly, compared to 2015, musically this year has been kind of disappointing. There were some good releases, but I feel like any year that follows White Reaper Does It Again is going to be disappointment, just in general. But there was only one really great album I listened to this year. I do have some honorable mentions, though. I like the new Open Mike Eagle, Hella Personal Film Festival. The new Alsay. Previously, Alsay's album, Shelter, was one of my very favorites of that year. I think it was 2014. Alsay were originally one of those black metal meets shoegaze bands. They kind of dropped the black metal sound for that album. They brought it back for this one. And it's an album heavily inspired by Princess Mononoke, I think. Which is pretty cool. At least conceptually, maybe, if not musically. There's also Disconnector by Sonic Avenues, which was... It's basically the best album the Buzzcocks never recorded. They sound pretty much exactly like the Buzzcocks, but it is a good album. I liked the new Nine Inch Nails EP. I liked that it was actually heavier than some of the stuff he's been doing. The new Against Me, which I feel like was more consistent than their last one, if not better. And probably the biggest surprise for me, this almost made my top 10, except it just yesterday it got kicked off by a new edition, but These Systems Are Failing by Moby and the Void Pacific Choir. I haven't listened to much Moby. I have his album Play, and his super divisive album Animal Rights. I like Animal Rights because I'm a big hardcore punk fan, and it's basically an electronic take on that. A lot of people didn't like it, but it's more up my alley. But These Systems Are Failing. It's not hardcore punk, but it is really heavy electronic rock, and I think he managed it better here than he had done in the past. The mastering is nonsense, though. It has a dynamic range of DR3, and for most albums that are really heavily compressed, it's a DR6. That's how nutso he mastered that. I think I heard about the Majora's Mask album. I don't know if I listened to it. I might have heard, like, a snippet of it. Is Freedom Planet still in my backlog? Yes. I have it on Steam. There's a bunch of games I bought I need to stream and show off or do something with. So that one's up there. But this is my top 10 favorite albums of this year. Number 10, this one I enjoyed a lot, even though it's kind of ridiculous. Musically, it's great, but when you think about it, it's just silly. It's 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. I liked his last album, Unorthodox Jukebox, because I liked how he was sort of bringing back these styles of music that haven't been touched in a while, including, obviously, a straight-up homage to the Police, and some kind of cool retro funk. 24 Karat Magic is sort of more the 80s era of funk, leaping off of his collaboration with Mark Ronson. Name just escaped me. Uptown Funk. A lot of the songs, like, the first song, 24 Karat Magic, is definitely Uptown Funk 2. It's at least as good, though. But what really kind of cracks me up about the album is after Uptown Funk, Bruno Mars seems to think he can now cash in on this pimp cred that he'd never had up until now. He was kind of a dork until Uptown Funk. Now he's just straight up... The entire album is about banging girls. But he did work in actually a really good breakup song right at the end. But he's still doing that genre revival thing, and he's doing it really well, so I like the album a lot. Number 9, Chaosmosis by Primal Scream. Kind of like Against Me's new album, I feel like Chaosmosis isn't better than their last album, More Light. but it is more consistent. Where More Light, they were going back to sort of their psychedelic dance rock roots. In this one, it's more straight up electronic pop. But they do it really well. There isn't a bad song on the album. It's a very catchy material. I like their addition of the female singers. I feel like they've had them before, but in that album, it's they're more upfront. A lot of good melodies, a lot of interesting compositions. So I liked it. I don't know what the hell All Music Guide's beef is with Primal Scream. It seems like every other album they release, All Music rates it a 2.5. And they did for Chaosmosis, but I don't know why. It's a perfectly good album. Number 8, Honeymoon on Mars by the pop group. Last year, the pop group's album Citizen Zombie was in my top 5 of the year. If you don't know, the pop group, they were never big, but they were hugely influential. They were one of the original post-punk bands. In fact, they might even be the first, depending if you go chronologically. They released their first album in 1978, and then they hadn't recorded anything since 1979. But when they came back with Citizen Zombie, it was a extremely good record with a lot of, like, it's super noisy, but also had an interesting mix of pop, soul, and not punk, but the sort of the attitude and the anger of it. Honeymoon on Mars, actually, it has them reuniting with the producer of their very first album. And it's about as good as their first album. I don't think their first album, which is called just the letter Y, I don't think it's as good as Citizen Zombie, actually, which might be heresy, because Y is one of those cornerstones of post-punk music. But I like Citizen Zombie better. Honeymoon on Mars, I don't like as much as Citizen Zombie. For one thing, Mark Stewart doesn't scream on the album. If you have Mark Stewart on an album, especially on a pop group album, have him fucking scream. He's great at it, but he didn't do it. But it is cool. Lots of ranty, sort of heavy beats. Not as much a dub influence. I think their producer was a dub producer. They do have a additional hip-hop producer joining them. I think he was a member of the Bomb Squad. So the album sounds really good. It's just not as instantaneous and interesting as Citizen Zombie. You notice that for a couple of the future ones that I talk about. At least a future one on this list. To be honest, the additions for my top 10, they would have been, like, in a better year, they probably wouldn't have made the top 10. But by nature of this year being kind of musically disappointing, they are now. But still, I liked Honeymoon on Mars. I donated towards it when it was on Pledge Music. I assumed that meant that they actually needed it to record it and release it, but that was, I guess it was just a sort of special pre-order function. But number 7, this is where we get into the really good stuff. Good Times by the Monkees. I was never a big fan of the Monkees. Even when I got into music and I started listening to all this classic old rock and pop, it was still, you know, the Beatles. I never gave the Monkees much of the time of the day, even though they had some really good songs. And they were a big influence on one of my very favorite bands, XTC, which is what interested me in Good Times, because XTC's chief songwriter, Andy Partridge, he contributed a song called You Bring the Summer, which is the second song on the album, best song on the album. But it's remarkable how good this album is. Musically, it's classic 50s and 60s rock and roll pop. If you've heard the Monkees, it kind of sounds like that. Gorgeously produced. Their voices still sound amazing. There is one song where I can't remember his name. It was the guy you all think of when you think of the Monkees. I think he just played tambourine. Davy Jones, him. They had an old recording of him before he died. They sort of recycled that song and brought that back. But the current singers, who are very old, they don't sound it at all. They sound great. The songs are so fun. They're so... It is an album perfectly titled. The album just makes me feel good when I listen to it. You can tell they're having a ball. And it's just a joy to listen to. I really recommend Good Times. Number 6. This was a strange one for me because it took me a long time to really come around to it. But after this guy died, which more than any other celebrity death before or since really sort of shook me, and I couldn't quite get over it. In a way, I feel like I still haven't. But But my number 6 is Black Star by David Bowie. David Bowie's death hit me probably harder than anyone else because out of everyone who's gone now, perhaps even more than Syd Barrett when he died, David Bowie's been one of my biggest influences, just in terms of the breadth of his music, and he is one of those guys, at least up there with Elvis Costello. Elvis might actually tip him over, but he's one of those guys who has as many masterpiece albums as most artists have albums. I can think of 3 right off the top of my head albums he's recorded which I consider perfect, pitch perfect. I have no complaints with them. They're easily in my top 5 favorite lists. Man Who Sold the World, Station to Station, Low, and all 3 of the Berlin Trilogy plus Station to Station, some of the best music I've ever heard. So it was remarkable for me to hear when he's gone, especially when he had just come back in 2013 with a new album, and a really good one. It was kind of like, here's what I used to sound like, and we're bringing it back. And then Black Star came around. I actually didn't get Black Star at first. I liked that he had sort of taken influence from jazz, and he was, even at his age, still doing something different. But I just couldn't connect with it. I thought the compositions were too strange, the lyrics were too incomprehensible. I didn't get it. And then he passed away from cancer. And then I went back, and it occurred to me, he had known all along. This album was his epitaph. And suddenly everything clicked. All of the weird compositions, all the weird lyrics, the long songs, which I used to just sort of tolerate. Now I understood everything about it. And suddenly it became sort of a fascinating album to me. I don't consider it one of his very best, but as a send-off, it's a fascinating one. And if anything, musically it's a grower, but when you finally know that he knew what was happening to him, and then you go back and listen to it, it makes sense now, which is a strange thing for a record. I've never had that experience with it, which I guess is something else you can chalk up to David Bowie's genius. I'm gonna miss that guy. He did have a strange voice, I will admit. Seems like right up to right from Station to Station to his death, his voice changed so strangely. He used to have a much higher pitch voice. Like, you listen back to Ziggy Stardust, or even back to Man Who Sold the World. It was a fairly high, I guess, tenor voice, and then he went more baritone around Station to Station and low. I'm not sure what happened. It was a weird change, and admittingly, I had to get used to his voice. That was another thing that made Black Star a little hard for me to get into, just because David had such a strange voice. But then, after he died, it sounded kind of cool. It sounded like a ghoulish ghost speaking out from beyond. Ooh, that wore in my throat. One sec. All right, next, number 5 is Kick Me Silly by Venomous Concept, subtitled VC3. This is one of the surprise releases of the year. Like, surprises in I'm surprised at how much I liked it. Venomous Concept are actually a grindcore band. Grindcore plus hardcore punk, I guess. Their rhythm section, I believe, is the rhythm section from Napalm Death. If anything, they have 2 members of Napalm Death, which is how I heard about it. It's their 3rd album, and I was surprised at how much I liked it. Like, they sort of do this strange pig squeal, low growl, roar voice. I still think the very best extreme metal voice is Barney Greenway from Napalm Death, and he's not on the record, but I still found myself getting into the sound. It's very heavy, very fast, a lot of hard riffs, and still, it just works. It's a really cool album. They have one song, Forever War, where they sort of slow it down and it turns into this big, heavy metal song. Not heavy metal like... Not, I don't know where I was going with that. Ignore that. But yeah, I'm surprised how much I like it. I guess it's because even if... Like you can tell, they're not taking it too seriously. They're just blasting their guitars and their drums. And they're just having a good time roaring with it. So I liked it a lot. Number 4. This was added just yesterday, I think. Or maybe the night before. But for most of the year, one of the things that disappointed me was even with Donald Trump becoming Republican candidate and then becoming president-elect, the whole year being a load of bullshit, especially politically, there was just no anger in teeth in the music at all. And then last month of the year, along comes Run the Jewels with their 3rd album. And fucking finally, somebody was angry at something. I really like Run the Jewels. I only just listened to their 1st album yesterday after I listened to their 3rd one. But I liked their 2nd one when it came out because I liked that they made hip-hop dangerous again. It sounded dangerous, they sounded threatening. And also the beats were great. LP's a great producer, and he has probably the best beat, at least of Run the Jewels I've heard so far, on their 3rd one here. It's called Panther is a Panther, I think is the song. Damn, the beat on that one. It is so cool. Panther Like a Panther is what it's called. I'm not going to play it because I don't want the VOD muted. But yeah, I think it's Killer Mike or LP in the last song, one of the last songs. They sort of admit when they started Run the Jewels, it was just sort of for a laugh. And then by the time this 3rd album came around, and one of the things I like about this album, it felt like they had something to talk about, something they were angry about, which was the political process. Because Killer Mike, he was directly involved in supporting Bernie Sanders. And I imagine LP was somewhere in there as well, because he takes the first half of that song. But it definitely feels like a properly angry and righteous album. Admittingly, half of the album, they're just talking about how they're fucking everybody and smoking a ton of weed. But it still works. They've got great attitude. Their flow is great. And I love their attitude. It's one of the things, like, if I didn't like hip-hop before, with its aggression, its anger, or even just its forcefulness, I'm glad I do now, because they've got it going well. Oh, there needs to be anger in 2017. Number 3, for a while this was actually lower on the list, but a similar thing happened to this album like the bands did last time. It's the self-titled album by Preoccupations. Preoccupations used to be called Viet Cong, and their self-titled first album back then was in my list, I think, just last year. What I liked about Viet Cong was it was a big grower. Like, Preoccupations are you could call them a post-punk band, but they have a combination of a lot of different interesting sounds, jangly but dissonant guitars, some guitar interplay between the two guitarists, a little bit of keyboards, but some very heavy drums, some sort of industrial drums in a few places as well, which is a really cool touch. Mixed with these sort of 60s and 70s psychedelic rock vocals and melodies. It was a very cool sound, and earlier on in the year, I didn't like the album as much as I did until I kept listening to it, and I kept bearing through the layers until eventually it became one of my favorite albums. With this album, Preoccupations, it's a similar case, but because of the state of the year, that's the only reason it's this high up on the list at number 3. In a better year, it wouldn't, because what's happened here in this case one, they haven't quite fixed the things about, like, they haven't quite changed the things that I didn't like about their sound, which is particularly, more than anything, their meandering instrumental sections. The best thing I can compare them to with someone else as far as long intros and outros is the Horrors. If you've never heard the Horrors, they have several songs which have multiple minute intros that are just like, they're just sort of vamping and building up something. But what the Horrors do is actually build. They're adding instruments, they're adding melodies. It feels like there's some progress and it's leading to something. What Preoccupations do is they play the same one measure over and over again for multiple minutes. And it's a real bummer, because one of probably the best songs of the year is on this album. It's called Memory. It starts off with this really cool sound, kind of reminiscent of Viet Cong. Like a really heavy bass riff playing, sort of saying, like, it's sort of this sad acknowledgement. You don't need to apologize for all the things you did wrong. And then a few minutes in, it breaks into this second section, which is sort of like almost a really cool send-up of The Cure. It's really melodic, great riff on it. And it's basically a great 7-minute song that lasts 11 and a half minutes, because the last 4 minutes are just them playing one slow chord over and over again, just on one guitar and a lot of reverb and everything. And that's it. Eventually the song ends. That's the problem with Preoccupations. Unlike the Horrors, who build, the Preoccupations meander and waste time. And they didn't really change that. The very first song of this album, Anxiety, it's such a good song. It could easily be like the anthem of our generation, Anxiety. But the first minute of it is just standard noise. It's sort of almost the same noise as the second, or the third section of Memory. It's so disappointing. But even then, same case with Viet Cong. I kept going back and listening to it. At first I thought only the first half of the album was any good, and then I kept listening to the second half, and all the little details started coming back out. And even still, even if I don't like it as much as Viet Cong, I highly recommend it just for how interesting their music is. Let me think. That said, there are still sections where they meander, and another thing regarding their sound, which I think sort of holds it back compared to Viet Cong, is they sound more recognizably post-punk this time. If you've ever heard a band described as post-punk, there's a certain type of sound that is related to that, especially post-punk bands from the 80s. And Preoccupations is starting to sound more like that. They're starting to sound more like other bands, when Viet Cong was so cool because it didn't sound like anything else. But oh well. Even then, it's still a good enough album to reach number 3 on my list. But it probably wouldn't be there on a better year. It feels weird for me to rant so much about an album that I enjoyed so much. But that's what this year was like. But my top 2 are albums that I almost have no complaints over. Only the very top one would I consider great. But my number 2 got very close. It's Night Thoughts by Suede. If you don't know Suede, back in the 90s, they were practically the band that kicked off Britpop in Britain. They sort of were against being called that, and they changed their style a bit. But they are sort of like a send-up of the arty glam rock sound of the 70s. And they were a cool band. Their lead singer, Brett Anderson, he preferred to sing a little more like Johnny Rotten. Like, he would actually hit the notes, but he would be snotty. He liked to sing sharply. He sounded like he had an attitude, which is kind of cool, and the band just had a cool sound. their first album, Suede, I think, is basically a masterpiece. And I also like their third album. I think it's called Coming Up. I don't like their second one as much because it's just way too murky, even though people consider that one their masterpiece. But they had broken up for a while. They came back in, I think, 2013 with a new album, Bloodsports. I did like Bloodsports, but too many of the songs sounded like each other, and what they sounded like was pretty standard radio rock. Sort of indistinguishable, which is disappointing because it was a good album. Night Thoughts does not have that problem. The songs are very distinct. There's some great guitar work, some great guitar riffs. The compositions are gorgeous. They brought in an orchestra which plays with them a bit. I think it's mostly a string section. But it really lifts up and expands the sound. And it sounds so good. And I feel like if they had pushed it a little more, it easily could have gotten it, like, I would rate it at least a 9 out of 10. As it is, it's just a very high 8. But still, I listened to it more than pretty much any other record this year. But my number one favorite album of the year, it just sort of came out of nowhere, but I just ended up gravitating to it so much. It was such a well put together album. It's Meet the Humans by Steve Mason. Steve Mason apparently is a one part of an electronic group who I haven't listened to, which is interesting because this album is sort of more like classic indie pop, like sort of inspired by the 60s and 70s pop, not directly the extent of like the Monkees, but he's sort of coming from that classic singer-songwriter end with a strong indie alternative sense. But lyrically, it's nothing you've never heard before. Even instrumentally, it may not be. But he does it so well. This album, even more than the Monkees or anything else I listened to, made me feel so good listening to it. It's just such an uplifting, such a good-hearted album. And even if things on it aren't necessarily new, they are done so well. He is pretty much a master of the craft, at least as far as I'm concerned, of just writing pop songs. And then, just sort of like to send it over, to guarantee at least a 9 out of 10 from me, the very last song is a Manchester song. Like, you just break out that house beat in a rock song or pop song, like what My Bloody Valentine did on Loveless. Or like, really most of the artists from the Manchester scene, like Stone Roses with Gold. Like, if the album were made for me, that would be straight up pandering, because I love that beat. And he went and did it. Like, that's one of those little things you gotta do to just sort of ease it over to me. And he managed it. I love the album. Meet the Humans, my number one for 2016. Hey man, I'm looking at the bottom of my list. There were plenty of albums that I didn't finish listening to because I knew they weren't going to make my list. I just couldn't be asked. The ones that I did, which were kind of disappointing, were a lot of artists that I love. There's an EP from Jarvis Cocker, which it was just a soundtrack EP from Neil Gaiman's Likely Stories, but it was still just kind of dull. The new Iggy Pop album he did with Josh Homme. Again, like, I feel like Josh doesn't have any more tricks up his sleeve. He just has that sort of desert-inspired guitar sound. And he didn't do anything new with it. I never heard that album. There were a lot of albums I didn't get to listening to. There's the new Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds album. I wanted to like it more because of the events that surrounded it, where Nick lost his son a couple years back. And you can definitely feel that in the album, but it's not as interesting an album. Just kind of meandering and slow. And also he does this one thing in one song where he just purposefully sings terribly, and it does not work. And, oh man, I could rant for so long about this band. I love their music up to, like, 2010, I think. Ogre You Asshole. I've talked about them a couple times. Ignore their silly name. It's a Revenge of the Nerds reference. But they're a Japanese indie band. So like indie post-punk guitar pop band is how I describe them. At least their early stuff. They were sort of like the Japanese Modest Mouse. They were heavily inspired by Modest Mouse. But from their right from their first demo through to the EP Ukareteru Hito, it's all great, almost perfect. In fact, the album Fog Lamp and Ukareteru Hito, which came like right next to each other, I consider perfect. Like 10s out of 10s from me. Two of my very favorite records. I love this band so much. Immediately after, their drummer left because he was sick. After the next album, the bassist left, and they were just suddenly not good anymore. Like, I don't know if it was because they left, but they started changing their sound, went a little jazzier. They basically became a kind of lazy jam band, and their music is just not interesting anymore. They got kind of close with their album, Hyaku Nengo, 100 Years, I think it was called. Like, I think that's the translation. But, because what that album did was they brought in an organ, which one of the things I liked about their early sound was the guitars were melodic, but they were also sort of high-pitched in a way that they were almost distorted. So, like, they were sort of clean, but they had teeth to it, which sounded really cool. And what the organ did in 100 Nengo was sort of do that again. Like, it added that dimension back, but with a new sound along with it. But then, again, the album was just sort of boring jam music. And their new album, Everything Something Nothing, is more of the same. It's just not interesting. And I feel so bad, because I love the band so much. And I feel like before this album came out, I was saying to myself, if this one doesn't work, I'm going to give up on them. And it sort of didn't work, but I feel like with how much I like them, I want to give them one more chance, but I don't know. What really, I think, killed them for me was when they released a compilation of B-sides. I think it was called Confidential, and there were only 3 songs on there worth listening to at all. It was such a load of garbage. I have complicated feelings about this band, as you can tell. But that's all I'm going to say about music for this year. I had a lot to say. But I think I'm done. I like Octo Jerk. I'm gonna add him to the fan art for I can do there. For Triforce Heroes, even if it's referencing the Pokemon LP. Yeah, I just ended up listening to a lot of everything else except new releases. I don't know if I have anything else to talk about. You guys have any questions? Anything you want to discuss? I wonder if it will... Also, Chibi, you can once again be a mod. And also, you can lore. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of stagger the releases of the Harvest Moon LPs. Rune Factory 4 will start on January 2nd. Story of Seasons on the 4th, and Animal Parade on the 6th. I have the first 4 parts of Rune Factory 4 ready to go, fittingly enough. And the first 3 for both Story of Seasons and Animal Parade are ready. And also, hopefully tomorrow, I'm commentating Seasons and Parade with Skippy Granola and Yami no Senshi. Hopefully we're going to be able to record a little bit more tomorrow. We were going to record today, but Skippy never logged in, and Yami's hosting a New Year's Eve party. But he said his drunken house guests should be gone by like 4 Eastern tomorrow. I'm not gonna fucking touch Metal Gear Survive. I couldn't give a damn. Though funny you mentioned that, I have been talking to Jacob about doing a series of Let's Plays for the Metal Gear Solid games. He and I are gonna tag team them. We haven't really started on that though. But I made a list. I believe he's going to take the first 2. I should actually look and check first. Yeah, he's going to take the first 2. I'm going to take Snake Eater. He's going to take Guns of the Patriots, and then I'll do Peace Walker. Travis says he'll do Revengeance, but he has to actually be available to do that. And he's been so busy, he hasn't even had the time to send his recordings for Demon Souls. And then Phantom Pain will be me again. So it's sort of like 3 for each, Jacob and myself, plus Revengeance from Travis, if he is eventually able to do that. We're not going to worry about the 2D Metal Gears. If you have a Twitter, you can upload it there. The link will probably be wrong, but I know how to fix that. Let me just see if it will show the image. It will not. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing Rune Factory 4 with Travis. He's enjoying it too. It is kind of a silly game, which is perfect for us. I've never played Portable Ops, so I wouldn't be the person to do that. This song is sort of like making me feel conflicted. Same with the Hero of Leaf Valley songs I played earlier. Because I'm pretty happy with how those 2 LPs went. But now I know I could never go back and listen to them because Olivia and I broke up. And those pretty much became like a couple's LP. Same with Survival Kids, really. That is kind of stupid. Well, I did have the idea, Chibi. Since it is the new year, since Olivia and I broke up, and she did draw the original Straw Hat No logo, I want to know, like, if somebody, such as yourself, would like to draw a new one for us. Like a similar idea, but maybe a new take on it. Yeah, particularly Hero of Leaf Valley I'm proud of. I just know I can never go back and listen to it again. At least not until I'm fully over the breakup. We broke up in, I think, September. But it's still, like, there's sort of the cloud always hanging over me. Well, thing is, Big Otaku, somebody mentioned... somebody said, or no, somebody quoted me saying, all of my problems are internal, earlier during Stranded Deep, and I was like, yeah, that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons Olivia and I broke up. Because I just cannot pull myself together. Now I can add a fan art folder to... Oh no. Twitter's gonna be weird and save it as a JPEG large, so... Nipping that in the bud. Well, it is very large. Hope you mind, I'm gonna resize that, just for the sake of uploading it. That is great, CR. I'm gonna name that Vice Attack. Is Highwing an honorary member of the group at this point? Practically. Mostly because he's the only one who's actually around. He's like me, he's unemployed, he's always on the computer doing LPs and shit, so he's always available. Yoshi and Travis have lives. Like, they both have work. I think they both have school. But not me and Highwing. Yeah, I took care of it, CR. I just copy-pasted it into Paint. That's what I do for most things I get off Twitter. Well, isn't that the point of a tablet? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. I thought you meant old as in it lost its pressure sensitivity. So basically, Sarah, you just have a very large iPod or iPod Touch. Oh yeah, that makes sense, Jibby. Now you've seen what drawing with a mouse looks like. It looks like this. I can't even write with a mouse. Hi, Zalder. You're here rarely late for the fun. But you're here at all. One sec while I listen to the video preview to get an idea of how long the lag is. One sec while I listen to the video preview to get an idea of how long the lag is. Not too long, actually, so it seems to be working good. You missed the Stranded Deep stream, where I finally made the motorboat, and I explored a shit ton of islands. And we also built the world's worst watchtower. But it's on its way. And then we did a little bit of a hangout for about the last hour. I gave my top 10 albums of the year. And now we're just sort of shooting the shit. What artists for albums? I can give a rundown of my top 10, just really quick. Number 10 was 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. Number 9 was Chaosmosis by Primal Scream. Number 8 was Honeymoon on Mars by the pop group. Number 7 was Good Times by the Monkees. Number 6, Black Star by David Bowie. Number 5, Kick Me Silly, VC3 by Venomous Concept. Number 4, Run the Jewels 3 by Run the Jewels. Number 3, Preoccupations, the self-titled album by Preoccupations. Number 2, Night Thoughts by Suede. And number 1, Meet the Humans by Steve Mason. Chibi, as far as ideas, all I can think of, like, I like the logo just in terms of bold, no, and a straw hat sitting on it, because that covers it. I guess, I'd just like to see a new take on it. I certainly have ideas regarding a banner for the channel, but we already have one that works. So I guess it doesn't matter so much in that case. Yeah, and if you like TMBG, we're good. I haven't listened to any Bare Naked Ladies. I've had them recommended to me multiple times. Always with the caveat with they're actually pretty good. Chibi, what's the 4-digit number code as well? According to Discord, they can't tell which one you are unless you give me that. This song is so appropriate for the "We'll Be Right Back" image. Sochi silly. Okay, this image is. I was playing the DLC area in the first Dark Souls, and this was someone who summoned me. They were so amazing, and they stood still long enough for me to take a screen cap. But yeah, the song is Cleric Beast from Bloodborne. Oh yeah, you've missed the explanation probably. But I was playing the DLC area of Dark Souls, and this was someone who summoned me. So I took a screen cap of them, because I thought it was hilarious. Chibi, what's the Discord code for your name? Like, there's Chibi Wisdom and there's a number code. Because Discord is pedantic about that. Yeah, I'm surprised they managed that. Must have taken some very careful finagling. Yeah, I just always end up making a hot goth woman. And that was the sound of a firework. I don't know if it picked up on the mic, though. Oh, I need to capitalize it correctly, too. Thanks. I like your icon in Discord, Chibi. It's a very bored-looking anime person. I do have something else I can share if you guys want to see it. Oh, we could actually have a full retrospective if you guys want. I'll give a preamble. Earlier in the year, in February, I held a retrospective stream looking back on my old YouTube poops from 2008 through 2010. Doing that stream sort of gave me the inkling to do it again, so I remade one poop of Azumanga Daioh, and then I made a second one based on Jacob, one of his videos, and especially the Jacob one. He and Yoshi, and I'm pretty sure Travis, loved it so much that it gave me the confidence to do them again fairly consistently. I only ended up doing it for a couple of months. I fell out of it again at the end of March. I did one more. But I still did a good handful of new YouTube poops. And I've sort of started getting back into it because after the election stressed me out to hell and back, I decided I need to watch something upbeat, something to cheer me up. So I started watching Star versus the Forces of Evil. It's one of the newer Disney Disney cartoons. And it actually it surprised me with how good it is, because it's really well animated naturally, but it's remarkably dark comedically sometimes. And the first season is sort of deranged in an interesting way. I actually ended up becoming a really big fan of the show, and as a couple of people did sort of marathon streams of them, and I was, along with watching it myself, I started just innately thinking up little weird YouTube poop jokes I could do with them. So earlier this week, I uploaded a new YouTube poop of Star versus the Forces of Evil, and I'm currently working on one right now. I rendered a preview of it. So, would you guys want to see sort of a retrospective of all of my poops from this year, plus a preview of the new stuff? Would you be interested in the madness? Like, if you saw the old YouTube poops, my skills have multiplied considerably. They're practically unrecognizable. I feel like in the long run, Gravity Falls is a better show, but Starverse is at least a sign that Disney cartoons are still a cut above the rest. At least potentially they could be. Gravity Falls ended. I think they canceled another one of their shows. If Wander Over Yonder was on Disney, might have been on Cartoon Network. But yeah, it's a good one. I definitely got into it. And I managed to get into it independently of the whole Marco is a trans girl headcanon and theory that's going on, which which I'm totally down for. It's really interesting how they pull together all of this evidence, like circumstantial stuff and stuff that everyone's like, "Whoa, Marco actually has dysphoria. This could be legit." And then a bunch of actual trans people have come in and said, "That happened to me. This is totally legit." Which is kind of cool. Yeah, people are supporting the YouTube pooping. So let me get a window up here. Not that one. This is the new one. We'll see that later. It's the new completed one, rather. I have a preview for a different one elsewhere. Yeah, YouTube poops are definitely either an acquired taste or you need to have something wrong with you to really get into them. Luckily, I do. Let's see. Here's it. I made a list somewhere of like the running order of these. Okay, so this first one is actually a remake of one of my old ones, which I played during the stream. The original one was called Azumanga Daioh Fuck It. And this one's called Azumanga Daioh My God What Have I Done? It was made sort of like as a repoop of it because the first one has been content ID blocked. And it was also sort of like a test of what new skills I might have built up in the process of, like, in the 5 to 6 years between me stopping making YouTube poops and picking it back up again. So here we go. First poop after 5 or 6 years.
Fun. Now, Ellie's now we net. So who's got me net? Would you just shush? Oh. Summer break special! Nish crabs nimble! Hey! Where are you, Yomi? Going, hey! Yeah! Don't be such a stick in the mouth! Good morning! Are we a buncher? Would you say our I bet I don't eat it! But do y'all have the flash? I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna open it up. Cake. Hey, cake! Yes! Yes! Who's that? Chio-chan, you invited Miss Cock, right? Hey. Yeah, what? You what's about it? Full live what's about it? Mount Melon. I guess they must be shit. Look, hemorrhoids. Let's say you're right, not like seals. Right. It ain't a horse. We're always cocky, Mr. Cocky. I'm not good at cocky. Such a cock.
So yeah, probably should have warned you. It's gonna be like, there's gonna be distortion. What I made sure to do was to never actually clip the master. So like the volume will always be at the very loudest minus 3 dB, which is technically not clipping. It is still heavily distorted just by the plugins. But I don't like to clip. That's the audiophile in me. But I still do like sudden shocking distortion, just for the weird sound. I don't like high-pitched distortion. I like it lower and stranger sounding. But yeah, that was sort of like a new, unique remake of an old video of mine. One of the things around here. Oops. That's another thing.
Would you say our
That right here. That's one of the things from the original poop that I wanted to keep, so I actually just reused the audio. Because that was made with a vocoder that came with my old version of Vegas that I don't have anymore. And I can never find the vocoder again. It was an interesting sound. Same with around here. That whistle. That was another thing, like, the original was that censor bleep, because I was young, dumb, and unfunny. Of course, I used a censor bleep. But I did actually run the censor bleep through the vocoder as well.
melon?
But yeah, I'm pretty proud of that one. As getting back to it after a point, I still think it's pretty funny. This is my second one. Again, this is the one I made of Jacob, of one of his videos from when he played Sims 4. And what I did with this, I actually kept a recording of me playing it. Or like, I kept a recording. We were in Skype, and I covertly sent them a preview clip of it, because I wasn't finished with it yet. But I told them, like, have that saved up, and then let's actually get in the call, and then I want you to watch this. I didn't tell him that I was pooping one of his videos, and he was laughing the entire way through. And he got up out of his room and went to the bathroom, and Yoshi and I could still hear him laughing from the bathroom. I was so proud. I'm probably I'm gonna upload this retrospective, and I'm probably gonna include that recording as well. Maybe as an extra thing, because I'm very proud. But this video is called Spoiled Veggie Burgers.
Puke. They did it. I don't know what they did, but they did it. No.
No. Let's see how that works out.
I don't know if I wanna.
He's a friendly man.
One ducks for love, one ducks for me. For love without fucks for me. Get that kiss. You get the fuck back. I did it. Let's share a secret. Wonderful. But this is not. I need to. God, Jacob. See who we're gonna meet today. Marf's in there for the Disco. How's the butt? Veggie burgers. Dirty. Disco. Veggie burgers. You piece of shit. Shits and giggles. Shits and giggles.
But they're more expensive.
I would eat it.
Just carry around a big bunch of vegetables with you. The blue. Alright. Oh, get dirty here. With the blue. I don't know if I want to do them. I don't know if I want Veggie burgers.
I don't know if I want ducks. I don't know if I want to open this hole.
Bring me, baby.
You have to pee. Indeed. Son of a bitch, ain't. The veggie burgers, they're spoiled now. I had sex with spoiled What a big bunch of duck shit. God, Jacob. Nothing like a good old. Duck shit.
So a couple of things. Let's see, one, I should warn you from here on out, I did sort of like to abuse the whole visual seizure thing, so if you're photosensitive, be wary of that. I'm curbing it from my newer stuff, but I did like doing that for a while.
I did it.
Like
Let's
that.
share a
That right there. Goosh Gobble Doogledack made Yoshi laugh harder than anything else in the video. Because it sort of baffled him, I guess.
Wonderful.
Chitty chitty bang bang. If you didn't get it. That is based off of something that Mr. Kritoff did. He re-released an album that he did called Mrs. Egg, and I've sort of been like the unsung champion of that album because you can't get it anywhere else. And I think he only had it up for like a couple of months. But one of the last things he had on there was just this noise track or something, or like maybe it was the second to last one, but it was the sound of like right at the end of it, there's this backwards laugh that he put in, and then they're plump, tender, mouth watering. So that's my reference to that.
I need to.
This right there, I totally stole that, like doing a YouTube poop music video of this song from Mother 3. But I did more with it than the YouTube pooper. Like it was a Robotnik poop was the original I saw of it, but I made sure to do more with it than just that. I feel like I almost overdid the Francisco bit with the Jacob especially liked dirty disco.
Carry around a big bunch of vegetables with you.
You maloots and giggles.
But they're more expensive.
But they're more expensive was where the preview video ended that I sent the guys. But I laughed to myself so hard at this right here.
The blue.
Just the way I imagine his lips and cheeks were playing blue, 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 blue. I kept laughing to myself so hard while I was editing that together.
I don't know if I wanted.
Oh. That's a gif of Ian Curtis playing, and somebody added in Wii remotes. I've had that gif for so long. In fact, I used it back in my original YouTube poops. So I brought it back there, and what Jacob is singing is Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division. I was really proud of this. What I did, I warped the video, and it ended up looking like the Star Trek logo. Still one of my proudest moments, and I feel like that's it. And then a song from Bomberman 3. And
Duck shit.
I couldn't leave alone the puppet thing that I've done all the time in SFA and what have you. I will just be a few minutes, but I will be right back. And then we will continue with this insanity. Alright, folks, I return. Zalder made an excellent point. Or no, both CR and Zalder made a good point. You can't tell if it's a poop or just Jacob talking. That's probably why the video works so well, because Jacob is sort of like the Robotnik of YouTube personalities, I guess. Everything he does is funny. Let's see, my next video, I made this for a collab. I started doing a shit ton of collab entries. Some of them really small, some of them not so great. But I'm generally pretty happy with them. This one is a collab entry to a VHS collab. Basically just like the commercials and different things you got on old VHS tapes. And for whatever reason, I don't know how people found it, this is actually my most popular new YouTube poop on my YTP channel. Not quite sure why, but I am pretty happy with it. It's my first video where after I downloaded a shit ton of high-powered video plugins, so I can definitely see this fucking with the bitrate on Twitch. But let's give it a shot. This is called If It Isn't Red, It Isn't Real.
You should have noticed. You should have seen you are filtered my fouls you. You are fouls you.
Learn to take better pictures. These are amateurs, steps, video Kodak sets, lenses, Kodak. Now you can learn to take better pictures with these video cassettes from Kodak. For the serious note, step-by-step approaches to composition, lighting,
You should have noticed fouls you should have noticed
lenses.
If it isn't red, it isn't real.
This is the right response to that, Jibby. And Dark Linkification. So a couple of additional things to mention. Right around here. This kaleidoscoping effect. That's one of the plugins I installed. I am in love with that effect. No matter what, it looks cool. And I did the same thing here. If it looks like the bitrate died, that's actually the video. I thought that I had done something wrong, but then I remembered there was also a JPEG artifacting plugin, which I sort of overblew for the entire video, and it made it look really bad, but also sort of amazing. And it's doing a spiral. See, I'm pretty proud of that one. That's the most viewed video on my YouTube channel as far as new stuff. My next is another collab entry for the second 90s collab. I like to feel like this is one of my very best poops. I'm just gonna let it play. On my YouTube poop channel, it'll probably turn up later than all the others because I had it on unlisted. You wanted to wait until the collab was up before people made their entries public. But this is called You'll Never Do a Bad Thing Like 90s People. Basically, using a shit ton of sources from the 90s.
please. Today, Gromit.
Mine makes me skin my thing. The whole thing makes my head spin.
Something is much. Water ski. At a time like this, on the beach, you know, over the barrel. Yeah, review.
Slow your friend. I'm not a stranger. 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 That are all. That are all. That are all. And we'll floaty down the tower 5 seconds miles.
Something's flipped. Or mom's. I forgot.
You want to sleep with common people like me?
But she didn't.
Today, Gromit.
I feel like it speaks for itself. One thing I will say, I definitely overused "Come to Daddy" in that one section. Naturally, I had to use Pulp. And Chris Isaac. And Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl's face. Like, right here. This face of him during the, Learn to Fly video. That's sort of become my trademark. I have this saved separately. And I just plot that in different videos. You're going to see it popping up constantly. Another thing, the reason that I have my name down on the bottom, that's just a thing for collabs so that you know who made what YouTube poop. You see them all the time. And of course, Digimon. I'm especially proud of all of this. I tried to make it actually seem musical, but it's just made up of clips from the songs that were, like, that you saw earlier anyway. Next, it's a 5 seconds collab entry, so it's just something I threw together, like, probably not even in 10 minutes. I just offhandedly named it, I Just Want to Fuck Everything. But, here it is.
Izzy, come here, Izzy.
Because I had some additional ideas for it. And also, if you ever do find yourself watching Digimon for whatever reason, like the first season is terrible, but if you look in the background, some of their faces are hilarious. Next is an entry I did for the Monty Python and the Holy Grail collab. It never happened. It got canceled. But I decided to go more with audio editing than visual for this one. So visually, it looks a little more boring, sadly. But I think I did some pretty cool things with it anyway. It's called How Angry is God?
king of the
defeat just you the castle seems to have roasted. Please, buzz became buzz.
He's buggered off. So he has his scarping.
One day, lad. Oh, over there.
Oh, they stop.
Lad. Mother.
I don't know why that guy getting killed is so funny to me. Yeah, I get kind of obsessed with making YTP MVs out of these sources. I was pretty happy with this one. The reason I was able to get away with that one is because the copy of Holy Grail that I was using had, I think, a 7.1 audio track. So like everything was separate in all these different tracks when I dropped it into Vegas, and it was really weird, including multiple tracks of just the voices. So what I did with this one is I just pitch shifted each different track, so I ended up making a chord. Thanks. I'm pretty happy with that one. But yeah, some very old school YouTube pooping jokes and tricks there, like stuttering and that just go. I love repeating weird little sounds people make before they start talking. It's one of the build-ups of tension that works really well and like intentionally comedic YouTube poops, not just annoying or visually weird YouTube poops. And I don't know why I always end up doing like some drum and bass beat as opposed to anything else when I do those. But next, this is a 3.14 seconds collab entry, so it's even shorter and it's weird. I was watching a lot of Venture Brothers at the time, so that's what it is. It's called Ready Me Butter. It was for Pi Day, March 14th, which is why that happened. Pretty basic. You need to be in a certain frame of mind for any YouTube poop, yeah. Here's another one. This is another remake of an old Azumanga Daioh YouTube poop. Although, the two that this one is based on, I think are still available. Because what got the other ones taken down was I used the entire credit sequence and then just played a different song over it. So that bit got copyright claimed and taken down. These two I didn't, because I was actually using my old laptop for those. This was back in 2009, and I was using a really mediocre, I guess, free editing software for it. I forget what it was called, but I remember that Combuskin is Awesome was able to do some really good YouTube poops with it, so I gave it a shot. But so this doubles as a remake of those. This doubles as a remake of two old Azumanga poops, and it is an entry to Jush's third anime collab. And this is called Sata Anda Geri Geri Ge Ge Ge. Gero Geri Ge 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 is the name of a Japanese noise rock band. So that's the joke there. Whatever, here we go.
What the shit? Looks like everyone's here, so we can
I'll go straight to the gym and play with my balls.
Excuse me, Mr. Kimura. Excuse me.
Let's sit.
No!
Take a little. there are always several forks, and therefore 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 there are always several forks.
Mr. Kimura, why did you decide to become a high school teacher? Why did you decide to become a high school teacher?
'Cause I like you.
Octopus!
Rubber pipes, packing. It tends to do that. Rubber pipes lately. Leaking.
Oh?
There are always several forks. There are always several rubber pipes, and therefore...
Chio-chan! What the shit?
That's it.
Funny thing is, I ended up reusing a lot of jokes from those original Azumanga poops because they were actually still really funny. I just updated them, especially the ones with Mr. Kimura and the swimming class. Yeah, I love that Dave Grohl face. And I don't know why more YouTube poopers don't still have people say "let shit." It's just if you don't think about it too hard, it's just funny to say. And I love when characters say it in inappropriate situations. Some old jokes still work. Anything else? That is Murderous by Knights Areb, the song, and that's Om Sweet Om by Kraftwerk, which was in the original YouTube poop. As was Let's All Go Straight to the Gym and Play with My Balls.
Excuse me.
Let's shit my balls.
So was Let Shit End This. I I added in that is Mr. Kimura just sort of raving out the thing that flies back.
And therefore there are always several...
And Mr. Kimura repeating that. I still find it kind of funny. Now the drum beat from this one is actually something that Verhias made for me. I was supposed to be making a Manchester-inspired song, but I just never got around to finishing it. But I have used the drum beat in a couple places. I like Sata and do that. I'm gonna skip the next one. I'll play a little bit of it. But this is just pure noise and data moshing. It's not especially interesting. It was more of an experiment. But I made it for the David Bowie Memorial collab. It's called This Is How I Spent My Time Before I Started Wearing Dresses. I'll just play a little bit of it and then we'll stop. I think you get the idea. But yeah, if you don't know what data moshing is, if you've ever seen MP4s where it seems like one image, like it's it goes from one image to another, but the old image is still hanging on to the new one. It sort of seems like they're climbing out of the old image. That's data moshing. It was the first time I ever did it, and I never did it again. It's too much trouble for what it is, but it is visually interesting. The noise, what I did, I actually put distortion and chorus into the master channel, which in that way I was able to automate it as the video went along. So like I boosted it, and that would run like the delay really high, so there was a shit ton of feedback, and then I would just sort of ride it, move it up and down to get different swells of distortion and what have you. More interesting than entertaining. Next, my first YouTube poop tennis since coming back. I only did one YouTube poop tennis before. I wanted to do a Robotnik tennis because I love Robotnik poops. So this one, I served for this one, so unfortunately the person I was playing against wasn't especially interesting, a YouTube pooper, so I kind of lost interest in it, but I did do one other serve. But this is Robotnik burns up in the radiation of space.
I've called, always called, brain dead, heads, can. Easy Eddie, escape my tops, easy Eddie, trap, wow. Mom and Dad. No! Rot your life away, can't the Eddie escape my can't you? F with moron.
Just as I thought. Just as I thought.
Microwave tower. I will control every microwave. Don't be a dick. That hothead hedgehog can't. Equipped. My dick. Every dick. Get ready. Permanently.
So I'm pretty happy with that one. Couple things. This song is I think When I'm Gone. It's the second song on the album. Well, let me actually look it up. It's by Xavier Rudd and the United Nation. The album's called Nana. The song is While I'm Gone. It was one of my favorite albums of 2015. I think it made it to the top 10. If anything, it was in the top 20, definitely. But a very good old school roots reggae album. I liked it a lot. I sped it up a little bit to fit with Robotnik going... that. Another thing, you saw the kaleidoscope effect again. This right here, I think is also a kaleidoscope effect. It's another one from that plugin pack. But the sound effect is actually one of the heavy effects default templates in Guitar Rig 5. And I've used it a couple of times because I love the sound of it. I think it's called like Deep Bass Buzz or something. It sounds really cool. You're going to hear it again. how poop tennis works. Yeah, sure. What happens is, usually you have two people playing. It's basically a tennis going back and forth. One person makes a YouTube poop. The second person takes that poop, takes it and an additional source or what have you, and makes a new poop out of all of that. And then the first person takes the new poop they made and continues that process until you get down to maybe like, we did 4 rounds in my case for this one. My previous tennis, we did 6. It can go as long as it wants. 6 tends to be a good number for it. So like each person has done 3 poops where you're going back and forth. It's not as much a competition as it's sort of like a conversation between you. Sometimes what can be really funny is if you have running gags going between you, like you make one joke in yours, they make a joke that expands on that or does a new version of it. But tennising can be fun. I haven't done it more than twice, though. I would like to do it more. It's just when I looked, people just weren't biting. I'm going to go ahead and play the second round. Rather, my second entry, which was round 3. I didn't hang on to his. But, because I did a YouTube poop between them, but I want to keep some continuity. And plus, the poop I did between, I think, is my masterpiece so far. But round 3 from the tennis match is Robotnik Burns with Passion.
Yo! I will that. It's where's my next Sonic the Hedgehog? Permanently! Oh, Josh, no. Gosh, can I offer you something to eat? No! You forgot to pull this one! You forgot to pull this one!
According to Myers, it's...
Make it sappy! You are 3. The hedgehog's right one! Yes!
Here is just as I thought.
Are you my mother? No! Which secret project is that?
So you can kind of tell what what he changed, and then what I continued to change when I did this entry. He did around 4. By that point, I had just sort of lost all motivation to do YouTube poofs. What I tried to do is I tried to get back into the community, and this is a problem I always have with getting into groups. I try to come in, I ended up not feeling like I belong there, and then I fall back out. And what really hurt that was this next poop I did, which I still think is the best I've done so far. If anything, it's up there. I worked my ass off for it, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to host my own collab. So I thought, a source that hasn't been used much is Monster Rancher, if anyone remembers that anime. It was around early 2000s, I think, possibly late 90s. I remember watching it, I remember liking it. So I thought, I'll host a Monster Rancher collab. And I did my entry, put more work into it than I think I've done in anything else I've done, at least as far as YouTube poops. And then nobody wanted to enter the collab. Like, I asked a couple of people, they said they couldn't join. One person said maybe, never made anything. And it really killed my motivation. Like, legitimately upset me. Not that, like, I should have expected it from anyone. But still, it happened. That said, I'm still very proud of it. I think it's probably my best poop so far. It's called I Don't Owe You Shit.
I'm Genki. I introduce myself. A mystery disc. A mystery disc. A mystery disc. Amina. Deuce. That was truly awesome. Now fun play my. Fine. I'm Genki. I don't know you shit. You did back. You did there. You did pretty good. You did it. Cab. Conk, that's right. I'm Genki. I can't stand. I'm the monster.
Where to start with that one? The pointer says, "Nerd, get off Nesby." I played in reverse with that.
You did pretty good.
Right there. I heard "Nerd, get off Nesby." I didn't know if anyone in the world existed who was named Nesby, and there is. I think he's a former NFL player, or former NBA player. He's a sports dude. I think Nesby is his surname. Where you can barely hear it. Where it plays fun. That's sort of a callback to Azumanga Dai, oh my god, what have I done? But instead of just reuse the joke, now it's like I expanded on it. There's a spider at some point. Right there. This dude on the YouTube forums. YouTube's sort of like the unofficial YouTube poop hub. His signature on the forums was this spider gif, and I just stole him from that. This shit, it's using that same template from Guitar Rig 5, and like I just stretched the video of the main thing and then put a bunch of effects on it. But the rhythm sort of reminded me of Kino by Cabaret Voltaire, which Genki, he says cab. That image that it shows is of Cabaret Voltaire. So I played the song, and then I worked my ass off masking each individual frame of Genki turning his head and looking here. Still cut off because that was the edge of the video. And then I did the same with fucking Suezo up here. Like he's dancing and like he's trying not to fall over a ledge. Then I found like a bunch of GIFs that I could. Just a bunch of stupid shit. In fact, this bit was so graphically intensive that Vegas would crash every time it tried to render, so I had to render it independently of the rest of the video. A remarkable day for me. Whenever anyone commented on the video, it was like, what the hell was that part? And then Monsters Rule. That was sort of going to be, I think, if not the intro to the collab, it would have been sort of like the divider between the different entries. But obviously it didn't happen. So, That whole ordeal sort of killed my motivation to make YouTube poops. I didn't make any through all of April. I did make one more, because I had the idea for a long time. There's a clip during Agent Carter Season 2, I think the last episode, where Howard Stark is swinging golf balls in this little abandoned town. And at one point he goes, "Damn!" And I wanted to do something with that. So I made a really short bit just of that in May. And I was really bitter at the time, so I called the video, "I Probably Hate You." So let's play that.
Damn! Damn!
What am I doing wrong, Jarvis?
Small thing, but I was glad I was able to make the joke at least. Did anyone in the Bomberman Mega Thread ever LP the Game Boy Bomberman game? Sadly, no. I think Starman in the original Mega Thread, he was going to LP Pocket Bomberman, I think. I think he did the first video, but I mentioned to him, like, the commentary editing was really bad. Everyone was talking over each other, and he ended up not making any more parts. So, no Game Boy stuff. Although, Mr. Philby did do an LP of Bomberman Tournament for the Game Boy Advance. So there is that. The rest were pretty much consoles. But that was the last YouTube poop I made for a long time. That was in May. This month, just the last couple weeks, I sort of got the inkling to do it again. Like I mentioned, I started watching Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and that got me, like, watching it, I would have little ideas, and eventually I decided, fuck it, I'll just make another one. And I'm pretty happy with this one. There is at least one particular joke, which I'm so amused with myself for making. But it is a good joke, I think. But we'll see what you think. The video is called Somebody Pooped in the Pool.
YouTube poop. Somebody pooped in the pool.
Fuzz me.
Huh? Marco. Huh? Huh? What? No?
It's sold out.
Oh.
It's sold out. No.
Oh.
Huh? What? Huh? What? Wait! You're a fan of Nate?
I'm a fan.
Ooh.
I ever wish some up.
What? One.
It was poop.
I'm just with you. Oh. I'm sorry.
Star, no, come on. Boys. No.
Poop. It was poop. Shut up.
Smack out! Smack out! Smack out! Smack out! Smack out! Smack out!
girls. It's yes. Yeah.
It's yes, it was poop.
Hello. Mako Diaz covers the Mako when he showers. Mako is Naysayer is in your cud. Oh.
Tingly.
Oh, the math! Oh, the math! Oh, the math! Oh, the math!
Mom, don't tell me what to do. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to follow your rules. I'm gonna live in my car at school. Hey, hey, Mom, don't tell me what to do. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to follow your rules. I'm gonna live in my car at school. Hey, hey, Mom, don't tell me what to do. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to follow your rules. I'm gonna live in my car at school.
Somebody pooped in the pool.
Was me?
So can you guess which of the jokes I was super proud of? I think there's too much to go over. Somebody pooped in the pool just amused me too much. I wanted to use it. Okay, we'll spoil it. It is this.
Somebody pooped in the pool.
I kept laughing to myself after I lip synced that. What I did, I basically lip synced it the way I did SFA. I just took screen caps of every lip flap. But since they were so precise, I was able to actually make it look like he said somebody pooped in the pool. I was proud. This killed me when I dropped the pitch on that.
Mom, don't tell me.
Oh, the math!
It sounded like a didgeridoo. This bit. This is actually a joke idea I had in my mind since at the latest 2010. Back in my old YouTube poop days. Having somebody say awesome and then fiddling with it to make them say awesome Osama sauce. That's what they were saying there. So I finally used it. I think that's it. Oh, this bit with Oscar. The high-pitched noise going on in the back, that's the same effect that I used in the VHS collab entry at the end, where it's called Ya Guitar. It's another plugin in Guitar Rig 4 or Guitar Rig 5. I don't think it was in 4 or an earlier one. For the most part, you're probably noticing I didn't put as much effort into the visuals as I did the others. I just wanted to make something for my own amusement, which is what I'm going to stick to for new YouTube poops. I did amuse myself a little too much, but that's what YouTube poops are for. That is my most recent YouTube poop. However, I do have a preview of the next one I'm working on. It's tentatively titled Star v Superman. This is a joke on Batman v Superman. The title might change. Oh, which reminds me, I actually expanded the title of this to Somebody YouTube Pooped in the Pool. So that's what it is on YouTube right now. But this one, it might be something else. This one I'm basing entirely on the episode Blood Moon Ball. And this is what I have so far. It's 49 seconds. So not too long, but it'll give you an idea of what it'll be like.
Blood balls to the moon starship.
Rogue? Period. Hey, that's a handicap spot.
Star.
That's a bit dense and fast there. But you'll have time to see more of it later. I amuse myself too much. That part makes me laugh too much too. Pacing might actually be too fast to detect anything. But whatever. Self-amusement should be the entire purpose of YouTube poops. It's why most people get into doing them. But yeah, that's everything I've done in 2016 as far as YouTube poops. I'm not intending to do it consistently like I did back in March, but I am. If I get ideas, I will make a new one, just for the sake of it, because I do have fun making them, and I do love YouTube poops on the whole. In fact, that video was the first time I was able to use a trick that I learned from, I think, Fiv95, maybe NK Power or Paper King 99, one of them, where if you saw the video was flashing around and they're actually, it was actually leaving a trail behind it that followed it around. I learned that trick from one of them. What it is, you just take a video and you have it move around the frame, and then you copy paste that track and then move the track a little bit forward underneath it, so it looks like a trail, but it's actually just a separate video following the same movement. Still looks really cool, though, and I'm glad I was able to start using it. But there you have it, folks. Pretty insane, but a marked improvement over all the stuff that I showed earlier in February.